Did you know that being too nice could actually be holding you back from true happiness and fulfillment? In our constant pursuit to be liked and accepted, we often find ourselves trapped in a cycle of endless giving, forgetting to draw the line where generosity ends and self-neglect begins. Today, we're going to explore how Buddhist principles can teach us the art of balanced living, how to give without losing ourselves in the process. As we dive into this discussion, remember, every moment we spend learning how to balance our kindness with self-respect is a step towards a more peaceful and fulfilling life. If you find value in these insights, a simple click on the subscribe button can help us share more of these life-enhancing strategies with you. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single part of this discussion because every minute is packed with transformative ideas that might just change the way you interact with the world around you. So, stick around as we learn from ancient wisdom how to honor our boundaries while nurturing the connections that truly matter. Let's get started on this journey to self-awareness and mindful living. Navigating the thin line between generosity and self-neglect is something many of us struggle with in our daily lives. It's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to every request, be it from colleagues, friends, or family. This desire to always be the helper can lead us down a path where our own needs are consistently placed on the back burner. While the intention behind our actions might be pure, the reality is that an unbalanced approach to kindness can lead to stress, burnout, and a loss of self. Buddhism, with its profound teachings on the middle way, offers a valuable perspective on finding balance. The middle way teaches us to avoid extremes, promoting a path of moderation and mindfulness in all aspects of life. This concept is especially relevant when we consider how we manage our relationships and personal energy. By adhering to this path, we learn to give without depleting our own resources, recognizing that our well-being is as important as that of those around us. Let's explore a scenario that might sound familiar. You're at work and your plate is already full with your own tasks. Then a colleague asks for help on a project. You say yes because you want to be seen as cooperative and helpful. Initially, it feels good to be needed, but as this pattern repeats, you find your own work suffering, your stress levels rising, and your energy dwindling. Here, Buddhism doesn't just suggest, but insists on the importance of wisdom in generosity. It asks us to be mindful of our capacity and to give in ways that are sustainable, not just in the moment, but in the long run. Moreover, the Buddhist concept of self-awareness is crucial here. It teaches us to pause and reflect on our motivations for being overly accommodating. Are we seeking approval, afraid of conflict, or perhaps trying to maintain an image of indispensability? These reflections can reveal deeper insecurities that drive us to compromise our own health and happiness for the sake of others' approval. The teachings guide us to a healthier mindset, where we value ourselves enough to set boundaries and respect our own limits. This self-respect is not about saying no to all requests, but rather about developing the discernment to know when a yes is truly beneficial and when it might be harmful to our well-being. It's about understanding and communicating our capacities honestly, which not only preserves our energy, but also builds more authentic and respectful relationships. When we operate from a place of true balance, we are better equipped to support others without harming ourselves. Practicing this can start with small steps. It could be as simple as asking for a deadline extension when you're overwhelmed, or choosing to decline an invitation when you need time to recharge. Each act of mindful decision-making reinforces the idea of the middle way and brings us closer to a life of harmony and less stress. As we continue on this path, we gradually learn to replace guilt with understanding and fear of rejection with confidence in our self-worth. This transformation is not overnight, but each step forward is a step towards a more balanced and fulfilling life. Buddhism doesn't just provide us with the theory, but offers practical applications that can transform our daily interactions and lead to profound personal growth. Setting boundaries is much like tending to a personal garden. It's about nurturing what grows, pruning what doesn't serve us, and protecting the space from being overrun. In Buddhist teachings, the concept of maintaining personal boundaries is essential for developing self-respect and peace. It's about recognizing that our mental and emotional resources are finite and treating them with the same care and reverence as sacred space. In Buddhism, there is a deep respect for the principle of self-care, rooted in the belief that inner peace leads to outer peace. This philosophy teaches us that without clear boundaries, our lives can become chaotic, leaving us feeling depleted and stressed. It's similar to a garden left unattended. Without boundaries, everything from weeds to wild animals can come in, taking away the nutrients and space needed for the plants we want to thrive. When we talk about setting boundaries, we're really talking about the courage to honor our own needs and limits. It's not selfish to set boundaries. It's actually a profound act of self-compassion. Buddha taught that compassion starts with oneself. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and by guarding our energies, we ensure we have enough to give to others in a way that is healthy and sustainable. So, how do we begin to set these boundaries? It starts with self-awareness. We need to understand what we value, our limits, and how much we can give without feeling resentment or exhaustion. It's about being mindful of our interactions and the energy we allow into our personal space. This mindfulness, a key component of Buddhist practice, involves observing our emotions and reactions without judgment, which can inform us when a boundary needs to be set. For instance, if you find yourself feeling consistently drained after interactions with a particular person, it may be a sign that the emotional demands are too high and a boundary is needed. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting off relationships or interactions. Rather, it could involve setting limits on the amount of time you spend, the kind of support you offer, or even how emotionally invested you become. Implementing these boundaries can be challenging, especially if we fear the reactions of others. However, the Buddhist path teaches us that our true nature is not defined by others' opinions or expectations. By gently but firmly setting boundaries, we are asserting that our well-being is a priority, which can lead to greater respect from others and deeper, more genuine relationships. It's also important to regularly revisit and adjust boundaries as our lives and relationships evolve. What works at one stage of our life may not be appropriate in another. Just like a garden that changes with the seasons, our emotional and mental boundaries need to be adaptable. In practicing these principles, we not only protect our energy and well-being, but also cultivate a space where our best selves can flourish. This is the true essence of living a life aligned with Buddhist teachings, recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and maintaining harmony within ourselves so we can extend it outward. It's easy to fall into the habit of constantly seeking others' approval. This relentless pursuit often stems from early experiences where we learn that our value is linked directly to how much others appreciate us. We've all felt that surge of satisfaction when our efforts are recognized and praised. But what happens when that praise becomes the primary source of our self-worth? This is where we find ourselves giving more than we have, exhausting our reserves just to hear that well done or see that nod of approval. Buddhism teaches us about the danger of this attachment to external validation. According to Buddhist thought, the pursuit of approval can lead to a cycle of dependency that detracts from our true nature and personal growth. This cycle can be particularly destructive because it shifts our focus from internal development to external validation, causing us to lose touch with our own values and ethics. Instead of acting in accordance with what we genuinely believe to be right or fulfilling, we perform roles that are expected of us, often ignoring our own needs and desires in the process. The concept of anatta, or non-self in Buddhism, challenges us to look beyond the ego and the self that craves recognition. It encourages us to see that this self, the one that needs constant affirmation, is an illusion, transient and ever-changing. By understanding anatta, we learn to lessen our attachment to this self and its insatiable needs, which includes the need for external approval. As we practice this detachment, we begin to find a sense of peace and stability that is not at the mercy of others' opinions and moods. Moreover, Buddhism highlights the importance of self-validation and intrinsic motivation. The Dharma teaches that peace comes from within, not from the accolades or criticisms of others. By turning our attention inward and focusing on personal integrity and self-awareness, we cultivate a stronger sense of self that does not rely on external sources for happiness or validation. This inward focus empowers us to act in ways that are harmonious with our deep-seated beliefs, rather than conforming to what we think others expect of us. In practical terms, detaching from the need for approval requires mindfulness and awareness. It involves recognizing moments when our actions are driven by a desire to please or impress others, rather than by what is genuinely best for us or aligned with our values. It also means being mindful of the impermanent nature of praise and criticism alike. Just as a compliment does not define you, neither does a critique. Each is simply a passing cloud in the vast sky of our experiences, not something to build a foundation upon. Furthermore, cultivating self-compassion is crucial in this process. As we lessen our dependence on external approval, we must also learn to be kind and forgiving to ourselves. Self-compassion allows us to accept our imperfections and acknowledge our efforts without harsh judgment or self-criticism. It encourages us to celebrate our progress and recognize our efforts, even when they go unnoticed by others. To truly free ourselves from the trap of seeking approval, we must also embrace the practice of living authentically. This means making choices that resonate with our core beliefs and expressing ourselves honestly and openly, irrespective of how we think others might react. It's about having the courage to be true to ourselves in a world that constantly tries to shape us into something else. In our quest for harmony and connection, it's crucial that we approach our relationships with the same mindfulness and intention we bring to other areas of our lives. Buddhism emphasizes the value of sangha, or community, highlighting how vital it is to surround ourselves with those who support our growth and well-being. It's here, in the interplay of give and take, that the true essence of balanced relationships comes into focus. Think of each relationship as a seedling. For it to flourish, it requires a nourishing environment, regular attention, and mutual care. But what happens when a plant is left in barren soil, or when it receives water but no sunlight? It struggles to survive, and often, despite all our efforts, it fails to thrive. Similarly, when we invest our time and emotions into connections that are unreciprocating, we are like gardeners watering a patch of dead earth. This is why Buddhist teachings urge us to practice discernment in our interactions. By choosing to engage with those who also invest in us, we foster relationships that are not only reciprocal, but also regenerative. Moreover, discernment isn't about judging others harshly, but understanding the natural balance of relationships. In Buddhism, there's a profound teaching about the middle way, which advocates for a balanced approach to life, avoiding extremes. This philosophy can be beautifully applied to how we manage our social bonds. If we notice ourselves always on the giving end, it might be time to reassess and recalibrate. Are these relationships serving us as well as we are serving them? If not, it might be time to introduce some boundaries. Boundaries don't mean erecting walls or shutting people out. Instead, they're like guidelines we set on how others can treat us, what we are willing to accept, and how much of ourselves we are willing to share. They help us preserve our emotional energy and keep our spirit intact. Gautama Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." This is a call to recognize our own worth and ensure that the relationships we maintain echo this respect and love back to us. It's also vital to reflect on the nature of the relationships we treasure. Do they encourage our growth, or do they keep us tethered to the ground? Just as a tree grows toward the light, so too should our relationships propel us forward, encouraging us to reach new heights. When we engage with people who understand and appreciate our journey, our conversations and interactions become enriching experiences, each one adding a layer of joy and insight to our lives. Let's also consider the role of compassion in nurturing our connections. Compassion is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, feeling with and for others. When applied to relationships, compassion allows us to be present with others in their times of need, without losing ourselves in the process. It helps us offer support that is mindful and respectful of both parties' boundaries. In practice, cultivating balanced relationships means taking inventory of our current connections. Which ones leave us feeling energized? Which ones leave us depleted? It's about choosing to invest more deeply in the former and reconsidering or redefining our engagement with the latter. This doesn't mean abandoning people during tough times, but rather recognizing when a relationship is fundamentally imbalanced and addressing this in a way that is honest and caring. Saying no might often feel uncomfortable, especially in a world that seems to constantly demand more from us. Yet, it is one of the most profound practices in self-care and mindfulness that Buddhism teaches. It's about understanding and setting your limits, recognizing that every no offers a yes to something else, perhaps a yes to rest, to personal space, or to the pursuit of your own interests. Buddhism places great emphasis on the concept of mindful living, which involves being acutely aware of how our actions resonate through our lives and the lives of others. When we mindlessly agree to every request, our actions may say yes, but our spirits often feel a resounding no. Each time we honor this inner voice and set boundaries, we are practicing a key Buddhist principle, the middle path. This path teaches us to avoid extremes, encouraging a life that fosters balance and harmony between giving to others and giving to ourselves. When you find the courage to say no, you're not just conserving your physical energy, you're also preserving your mental and emotional well-being. Think about the last time you agreed to something reluctantly. Did you feel at peace with your decision, or did it create inner turmoil? Often, the distress we feel from overcommitting is a signal from our deeper self, telling us that our equilibrium is off. By saying no, we respect that internal guide, prioritizing our well-being and aligning our actions with our true capacity. Moreover, when we assertively say no, we teach others about our values and our limits. This is crucial in fostering relationships that are not only respectful, but also genuinely supportive. Relationships thrive under mutual understanding and respect, and by clearly communicating our boundaries, we help others understand the best ways to interact with us. It removes ambiguity and sets a clear framework within which healthy interactions can occur. This practice also leads to greater self-respect. In Buddhism, respecting oneself is as important as respecting others. The Buddha taught that we cannot truly love and serve others if we do not first love and serve ourselves. Each act of saying no can be seen as an act of self-love. It is a declaration that you value your own needs and are willing to protect them. This self-respect then radiates outward, inviting others to treat you with the same level of respect. Additionally, saying no can be a profound practice of mindfulness. It forces us to pause and evaluate the situation at hand, rather than operating on autopilot. This moment of pause is an opportunity to reflect. Does this request align with my values? Will this add to my life or detract from it? Is there a genuine need for my involvement? By engaging in this reflection, we practice mindfulness, making decisions that are thoughtful and deliberate. Ultimately, learning to say no is not about turning away opportunities or shutting out relationships. It is about making conscious choices that support your well-being and allow you to engage with the world in a more meaningful and sustainable way. Just as a tree conserves its resources during the harsh winter months to bloom in the spring, we too must conserve our energies at times to ensure we can fully engage in moments that truly matter. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, every time you say no, you're not just looking out for yourself. You're setting the stage for a healthier, more balanced life. It's a practice that enhances not only your own peace, but also enriches the lives around you with the beauty of mindful living. If you're curious to explore more about how Buddhist teachings can transform other areas of your life, check out the suggested videos on your screen. Dive deeper and continue to grow with us on this enlightening path. Thank you for being a part of this Buddhist journey, and until next time, may you find peace and strength in every choice you make. Namaste. Did you know that the average person spends about 5 years of their life waiting in lines or queues? That's 5 years of frustration, impatience, and often wasted moments that could have been spent in peace and contentment. But what if there's a way to transform every minute of that waiting into an opportunity for growth and serenity? This isn't just a thought experiment. It's a practical lifestyle change inspired by centuries of Buddhist wisdom. Today I'm excited to share how embracing Buddhist practices can turn even the dreariest of waits into a nurturing experience of mindfulness and patience. If you find yourself intrigued by these insights, consider this a gentle nudge to hit that subscribe button. Join us on this journey of discovery and inner peace. It's a simple click that means a lot to us here. And don't rush off or skip around. Every part of this video is designed to enrich your understanding and maybe even transform your day-to-day life. Let's dive into these timeless teachings together and explore how they can be applied in our modern world to find a bit more peace in our everyday lives. In our fast-paced world where every minute is scheduled and every delay is a source of stress, embracing the Buddhist concept of mindfulness might just be the antidote we need. Mindfulness, a core principle in Buddhism, teaches us to live fully in the present moment, aware of our thoughts, feelings and surroundings without judgment. This habit of being present transforms seemingly lost time, like waiting in line or being stuck in traffic, into valuable moments of reflection and calm. Think about the last time you were in a long queue, perhaps at the grocery store or waiting for a bus. The typical reaction might range from mild annoyance to outright frustration. However, Buddhist teachings suggest a different approach. What if, instead of tapping your foot impatiently or checking your phone every 30 seconds, you took a deep breath and observed your surroundings? Notice the expressions on people's faces, felt the weight of your feet on the ground, and listened to the ambient sounds around you. This practice of mindfulness doesn't just make the wait bearable. It enriches your experience of the moment. By cultivating mindfulness, you learn to accept situations you cannot change, which reduces stress and enhances your emotional well-being. It's about recognizing the flow of life and finding your peace within it, rather than resisting what you can't control. Each moment of awareness adds a layer of tranquility and clarity to your day, turning routine or unexpected waits into opportunities for personal growth and reflection. Moreover, practicing mindfulness in everyday scenarios prepares you for bigger challenges. Just as a small stone can cause ripples across a vast lake, each moment of mindfulness can initiate profound changes in how you perceive and interact with the world. When faced with significant life stresses or decisions, the mental habits formed by mindfulness, such as patience, acceptance, and presence, can guide your actions and thoughts towards more balanced and thoughtful responses. While we often look outward to find happiness, Buddhism teaches us that true contentment begins from within. It's like turning a light on in a room that's been dark for too long. Our minds, cluttered with daily stresses and ceaseless thoughts, can find profound peace through the simple act of clearing away what is unnecessary. This habit is about embracing simplicity in all aspects of life, from our physical spaces to our mental environments. Imagine how you feel when you enter a cluttered room. The chaos outside can easily create chaos inside, disturbing the calmness of your mind. Now think about the serene feeling of stepping into a clean, well-organized space. There's a lightness, isn't there? It's almost as if the room breathes easier, and so do you. In Buddhist practice, this concept is not just about physical cleanliness or minimalism. It's a metaphor for our mental state. Simplifying your surroundings is a practice that helps to reduce the mental clutter that often keeps us from being fully present. Simplifying isn't just about donating old clothes or cleaning out your garage, though these are excellent places to start. It extends to your social obligations, your digital life, and even the thoughts you allow to occupy your mind. It's about distinguishing between what adds value to your life and what detracts from it. By identifying and focusing on the essentials, you can reduce the noise and find clarity. This isn't about deprivation, rather. It's about making more room for the things that truly matter: peace, love, and mindfulness. The teachings of the Buddha emphasize that attachment, even to ideas or habits, can lead to suffering. When we simplify, we let go of these attachments and we open ourselves up to a more mindful way of living. Each object, each activity, and each thought that you choose to keep should serve a purpose in your quest for peace and enlightenment. If it doesn't, perhaps it's time to let it go. As you start to declutter your space and mind, you might notice a sense of relief. It's like setting down a heavy load you've been carrying without even realizing it. This lightness is freedom. It allows you to breathe easier, to focus better, and to be more in tune with life's deeper rhythms. Simplifying your life aligns beautifully with the Buddhist path of reducing suffering for oneself and others. It makes you more conscious of the present and more appreciative of life's basic joys. Sometimes, amidst our busy schedules and the constant chase for more, we lose sight of the nourishment our bodies and minds genuinely need. It's like trying to fill a pot with water without really checking if there are any holes. The third habit we're exploring today involves introducing mindfulness into our eating, transforming each meal into a moment of connection and awareness, reflecting the Buddhist practice of mindfulness, which teaches us to fully experience the present moment. Eating mindfully isn't just about chewing slowly or savoring the flavor of your food, although those are important aspects. It's about recognizing the food on your plate as more than just sustenance. Each grain, each vegetable, each piece of fruit carries a story, from the sun and soil that nurtured it to the hands that harvested and prepared it. By acknowledging this journey and expressing gratitude for the multitude of elements that contributed to bringing this meal before you, you engage in a practice known as samvega, which in Buddhism encourages a profound appreciation for the interconnectedness of life. Mindfulness while eating involves being aware of the taste, texture, and aroma of the food, yes, but also being conscious of the body's cues. It's about noticing when you're hungry and when you're full to avoid overeating. This awareness can lead to healthier eating habits and even contribute to better digestion as the mind and body are aligned and relaxed during meals. This practice teaches patience and restraint, virtues highly regarded in Buddhist teachings. Instead of rushing through meals while distracted by our devices or worries, we give ourselves the chance to pause, creating a ritual that centers around nourishment and reflection. This not only enhances our appreciation for the food, but also allows us to reflect on our day, set intentions, or simply be present with our thoughts and sensations, which can be incredibly soothing and grounding. When we think about transforming ourselves and nurturing growth, it's essential to embrace the virtue of self-discipline, isn't it? It's a concept deeply rooted in Buddhism, but often misunderstood in our modern hustle culture, where discipline tends to be associated solely with austerity or rigidity. In the Buddhist perspective, self-discipline isn't about denying oneself joy or living a restricted life. Instead, it's about aligning more closely with our deepest values and living intentionally in ways that foster genuine happiness and peace. Self-discipline in Buddhism is beautifully intertwined with the idea of the middle path. This path isn't about extreme asceticism or indulgent excess. It's about finding a balanced approach to life that promotes inner harmony and well-being. When we practice self-discipline, we are essentially training our minds to choose actions that lead to long-term benefits and happiness, rather than opting for fleeting pleasures that might lead to suffering. It's about making choices that are in harmony with our moral values, which in turn cultivates a sense of peace and satisfaction that is more lasting and profound than any temporary enjoyment. Think of self-discipline as the practice of mindful living. Every choice you make, from getting up early for meditation to choosing healthier food or even managing time wisely, is a form of self-discipline that Buddhism encourages. These choices might seem small or insignificant in isolation, but collectively, they lead to a life that is rich in peace and purpose. Each act of self-discipline reinforces our commitment to our personal growth and spiritual path. Moreover, practicing self-discipline helps us cultivate other essential Buddhist qualities such as mindfulness and patience. It takes a mindful awareness to recognize our impulses and choose not to follow them blindly. And it certainly requires patience to stick with these choices, particularly when old habits and desires make their presence felt. Over time, these practices help in developing a stronger, more resilient character that stands firm in the face of life's challenges. In the fast-paced whirlwind of modern life, we often forget the power that comes from simply being present. Consider how often we rush through meals, conversations, and even our daily commutes, always looking ahead to the next task. But here's a Buddhist-inspired reminder. Embracing mindfulness can change not just moments, but whole lives. This practice isn't just about meditating in a quiet room. It's about maintaining a moment-to-moment awareness throughout the day. It's about truly experiencing the now, which is a profound lesson rooted deeply in Buddhist teachings. Buddhism teaches us that mindfulness is the art of being fully present and engaged with whatever we are doing at any moment, free from distraction or judgment. By cultivating mindfulness, we can learn to respond to life's challenges with calmness and clarity. Imagine savoring every bite of your lunch, feeling the texture of the food, appreciating its flavors, and acknowledging how it nourishes your body. This simple act can turn a routine meal into a profound experience of appreciation and connection. Furthermore, mindfulness helps us become acutely aware of our thoughts and emotions. Instead of being swept away by them, we can observe them with a gentle curiosity. This observation is key to understanding ourselves better and fostering compassion towards others. When you notice frustration bubbling up during a traffic jam, mindfulness allows you to acknowledge this feeling without letting it dictate your actions. Perhaps you'll notice the tension in your shoulders and choose to breathe deeply, letting the stress melt away with each exhalation. This practice extends beyond personal benefits. It enriches your interactions with others. Mindful listening, for example, involves giving your full attention to someone without preparing your next argument or response. It means really hearing them, which can deepen relationships and foster both understanding and respect. This level of attentiveness is a gift not only to others but to ourselves, as it opens our hearts and minds to new perspectives and reduces conflict. When we talk about decluttering, the first thing that might pop into your head is probably a garage full of unused items or a drawer overflowing with forgotten gadgets. But decluttering isn't just about physical space. It's equally, if not more, about clearing the mental clutter that accumulates in our minds. In the teachings of Buddhism, the concept of simplicity holds a profound place. It's about more than just minimizing material possessions. It extends into the realm of mental decluttering, which can significantly enhance our spiritual practice and peace of mind. Buddha emphasized the importance of letting go of attachments to create a life filled with more peace and contentment. Each superfluous thought, each unwarranted worry, and every needless distraction that we hold on to not only takes up space in our minds but also weighs down our spirits. By practicing mental decluttering, we open up space for more meaningful thoughts and more serene moments. This process involves recognizing thoughts that do not serve us and gently letting them go, not with force but with understanding and compassion for ourselves. Imagine your mind as a serene garden. Over time, weeds grow, the weeds being negative thoughts, prejudices, and old habits that don't serve your well-being. Mental decluttering is akin to gardening. It requires patience, dedication, and gentle care. As you pull each weed out, you're not just clearing space, you're nurturing the soil for more wholesome thoughts to grow, thoughts of compassion, peace, and wisdom. This doesn't happen overnight and requires consistent effort, much like how a gardener tends to their garden daily. Moreover, decluttering your mind helps enhance mindfulness and reduces the overwhelming noise of negative thinking that can cloud our judgment and emotional responses. The quieter your mind, the more you can hear your true inner self, guiding you towards more thoughtful and insightful decisions. In practical terms, this could mean starting or ending your day with a few minutes of meditation, practicing deep breathing when you feel overwhelmed, or simply becoming more aware of the nature of your thoughts and choosing not to engage with those that disturb your peace. In a world that often measures success by how much we gain or achieve, there's something profoundly freeing about the concept of generosity. Generosity, in its truest Buddhist sense, isn't about grand gestures or only giving when it's expected, but about infusing this spirit into every interaction, every day. It's about understanding that the real power of giving lies not in the material things we relinquish, but in the joy and connection that flourish as a result. Buddhism teaches us that every act of giving is also an act of receiving. This might sound paradoxical at first, but think about it. When you offer something, be it your time, your resources, or even a smile, without expecting anything back, you're also liberating yourself from the desires that typically dictate your actions. This is what the Buddha meant when he talked about the freedom from attachment. Each selfless act enriches our spirit more than clinging to possessions or accolades ever could. Moreover, embracing generosity cultivates a sense of abundance. In our daily lives, we often operate from a place of scarcity. We worry there won't be enough, whether it's time, money, or love. But when you start giving freely, you affirm to yourself and the universe that there is plenty to go around. This shift from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance opens your life to more opportunities and deeper connections. Generosity also deepens our understanding of interdependence, a core Buddhist principle. Every time you give, you acknowledge that your life is inextricably linked with others. By supporting one another without keeping score, we recognize that our well-being is collectively bound. We start to see that our actions ripple out and affect the network of lives around us, which in turn impacts our own lives in a positive feedback loop. It's vital, though, to remember that true generosity does not lead to depletion. If you find yourself feeling drained, it might be time to look at the balance of giving and receiving in your life. True generosity nourishes both the giver and the receiver. It should not leave you feeling empty. It's about giving from a place of love and abundance, not obligation or desire for reward. It's intriguing how often our minds wander to the future or dwell on the past, isn't it? Sometimes this means we miss the beauty and lessons nestled within the present moment. This is where the concept of mindfulness, deeply rooted in Buddhist teachings, can genuinely transform our daily lives. Mindfulness is not just about catching yourself when your thoughts drift. It's about gently bringing your attention back to where you are, what you're doing, and how you're feeling. Imagine the serenity and depth of experience possible when we truly live in the now. Buddha taught that the mind is everything. What we think, we become. And what better way to embody this teaching than through mindfulness? It's not merely a practice, but a way of being that involves noticing the world around you, its sounds, its scents, the way the air feels against your skin. Mindfulness is the gentle acknowledgement of a wandering mind and the deliberate focus back on the present task, whether it's washing dishes, typing an email, or walking to the bus stop. When we practice mindfulness, we cultivate a sense of presence that enriches every moment. Even routine tasks become opportunities for meditation. This practice helps reduce stress by keeping us from fixating on what could go wrong in the future or what has gone wrong in the past. Instead, it anchors us in the present, where we have real power to influence our life. Moreover, this habit of being present leads to greater patience, less anxiety, and a deeper appreciation of life's simple pleasures. When you eat, fully taste your food. When you listen, fully hear the words and feel the emotions behind them. This depth of experience is often lost in our hectic, multitasking reality. Incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine doesn't have to be a daunting task. It can start small with mindful breathing exercises during your morning routine or a few moments of silent gratitude before meals. Over time, these practices expand your awareness and transform mundane activities into moments of joy and connection. In the bustling pace of today's world, where every moment is scheduled and every second seems accounted for, the art of truly being present has become somewhat of a lost treasure. Interestingly, one of the most cherished practices in Buddhism, meditation, offers us a way to reclaim this treasure. Meditation isn't just about finding a brief oasis of calm amidst the chaos. It's a profound journey towards understanding ourselves and our place in the universe. When we meditate, we step into a space where the mind can quieten and we can disconnect from the noise that usually surrounds us. Think of it as tuning out the static on the radio so you can hear the music clearly. It's in these moments of clarity and calm that we can hear our own thoughts and emotions without the usual interference that life throws at us. What's truly beautiful about meditation is its simplicity. It doesn't require special equipment or a specific setting. It's accessible right here, right now, wherever you are. Buddhism teaches us that meditation sharpens our awareness and brings us into the present moment, which is the only true moment we ever really own. We spend so much of our lives either replaying past events or planning for future ones. Meditation pulls us back from that precipice of past and future into the now. Here, in the present, is where life happens, where we can truly engage with our experiences and live fully. The benefits of this practice are profound. Regular meditation not only eases stress, but also enhances your capacity to deal with life's unexpected challenges. It increases emotional resilience, making the highs and lows of life more manageable. As you develop a meditation routine, you might notice a decrease in irritability and moodiness, as mindfulness cultivates a steadiness of spirit that can carry you more smoothly through the day. Moreover, as your meditation practice deepens, you'll likely find that your periods of meditation are like deep conversations with a close friend, yourself. You'll start to understand your motivations, fears, and dreams better. This self-awareness is a powerful tool. It allows you to navigate life with more compassion and less judgment, not only towards yourself, but also towards others. In Buddhism, meditation is seen not just as a tool for personal enlightenment, but as a means to contribute positively to the collective human experience. By finding peace within ourselves, we're better equipped to spread peace outwardly. It's like lighting a candle. Just as one candle can light many others while not diminishing its own light, so too can a calm and centered individual influence their surroundings positively. Patience might just be one of the most underrated virtues in our fast-paced, instant gratification world. It's fascinating to think about how often we rush through our days, from one task to the next, barely stopping to breathe, let alone appreciate the moments we're living. But here's a profound thought from Buddhist teachings. The practice of patience is not just about waiting passively. It's about actively engaging in the present and seeing each moment as an opportunity for growth and understanding. In Buddhism, patience is seen as a crucial aspect of our spiritual development. It's not merely the ability to wait without getting angry or upset. It's a deep, enduring quality that helps us to accept the truths of life, including suffering, impermanence, and the uncertainty of our existence. This kind of patience teaches us to embrace each moment with a calm mind and a compassionate heart. Imagine how different our lives could be if, instead of reacting impulsively to setbacks, we could approach them with a mindful serenity, seeing each challenge as a chance to practice staying centered and composed. This is where the wisdom of Buddha really shines through. He taught that our suffering doesn't really come from the external challenges we face, but from the way we react to them. By cultivating patience, we learn to let go of our frantic reactions to the world around us. We start to see that our impatience often stems from a desire to control our lives and the outcomes of events, which in reality is a futile effort. Life flows with or without our consent, and by practicing patience, we learn to flow with it rather than resisting it. But how do we cultivate such patience in our everyday lives? It starts with mindfulness. Every time you find yourself in a situation where impatience rears its head, take a moment to breathe deeply. Observe your feelings and thoughts without judgment, and remind yourself of the impermanence of your current situation. Each moment of impatience is an opportunity to practice patience. Over time, this practice will deepen your ability to handle life's ups and downs with grace and wisdom. Navigating life's obstacles isn't just about getting through them, it's about growing through them. In Buddhism, there's a profound emphasis on embracing each challenge not as a barrier to our happiness, but as a vital part of our path to enlightenment. Think about a seed. Without the resistance of the soil pressing against it, it wouldn't find the strength to push through to the sunlight. Our lives are quite similar. Each difficulty and setback is like that soil, resistance necessary for growth. The Buddhist concept of dukkha, or suffering, teaches us that hardship is an inevitable part of the human experience. Yet, it's not the presence of these obstacles that defines our lives, but how we choose to respond to them. When we encounter difficulties, it's easy to feel victimized or overwhelmed. Buddhism invites us to shift our perspective. What if we viewed each obstacle as a teacher? What lessons can we learn? This shift doesn't just help us cope, it transforms our entire approach to life's challenges. By cultivating patience, mindfulness, and compassion, we learn to approach obstacles with a calm mind and an open heart. Imagine you're faced with a sudden job loss or a breakdown in a relationship, common scenarios that can cause significant distress. Instead of reacting with panic or despair, Buddhism teaches us to pause, breathe, and observe our emotions without judgment. This mindful pause allows us to respond from a place of wisdom rather than react out of fear or anger. Moreover, the practice of mindfulness helps us dissect these obstacles to understand their nature. We begin to see that our suffering often stems not from the obstacle itself, but from our resistance to it. By accepting the reality of the situation, we can start working on what we can control: our actions, our thoughts, and our attitudes. And there's also a deep compassion element in this practice. Sometimes the obstacle might be beyond our ability to overcome alone, and that's okay. Recognizing when to seek help, when to reach out to others, and when to offer help are all aspects of cultivating a compassionate response to life's challenges. This not only aids in our own journey, but strengthens our connections with others, fostering a shared resilience. Sometimes we underestimate the power of small actions, like expressing gratitude, and how they can profoundly shape our days and eventually our lives. In Buddhism, the practice of gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all life and acknowledging that every experience, whether perceived as good or bad, offers value and lessons. This approach shifts our focus from what's missing to what's present, from lack to abundance. Expressing gratitude daily sets a tone of appreciation that can turn mundane moments into opportunities for joy and connection. For instance, when you thank someone sincerely, whether it's the barista who made your coffee or a co-worker who helped with a project, you acknowledge their effort and value. This not only brightens their day, but also reinforces your own feelings of connectivity and positivity, fostering a sense of community and support that is often overlooked in our fast-paced lives. Buddha taught that our thoughts shape our reality, and by cultivating a habit of gratitude, we actively reframe our perspective to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. This mental shift can dramatically reduce the feelings of envy, resentment, and dissatisfaction that frequently plague our minds. Instead of envying what others have, gratitude helps us celebrate their achievements as well as our own. It teaches us to find contentment in our current circumstances, which is a foundational step towards lasting happiness and peace. Moreover, gratitude in Buddhism is seen as a way to cultivate generosity of spirit. When we're thankful for what we have, we're more likely to share it with others. This can be as simple as sharing a smile or as significant as making a donation. Either way, gratitude moves us to act with kindness and generosity, creating a ripple effect that enhances the well-being of those around us. As we draw this video to a close, remember that each step on this path enriches not only your life, but also those around you. Thank you for joining me on this profound Buddhist journey, exploring the subtle but powerful shifts we can make every day. If you're curious about how these principles apply to daily challenges, don't miss our next video on the screen now. Dive deeper, continue learning, and keep transforming. Your presence and engagement make all the difference. Until next time, keep nurturing your spirit and sharing the journey. Did you know that every second a million thoughts race through our minds, weaving narratives that often lead nowhere, but to our own stress and unhappiness? Today, we're diving into how we can free ourselves from the tight grip of overthinking, a mental maze that many of us get lost in daily. Welcome to a journey where ancient Buddhist wisdom meets modern mindfulness, offering you real solutions to calm the chaos within. In this episode, we'll uncover the powerful teachings of Buddha that teach us the art of letting go, practices that have transformed millions of lives across the globe. If you find yourself replaying conversations in your head or worrying about the future, you're not alone, and this discussion could be the turning point towards a more peaceful, mindful existence. As we explore these transformative ideas together, remember, if you appreciate what we're doing here, hitting that subscribe button is a simple, free way you can support us. And don't skip any part of the video. Every minute is packed with insights that promise to enlighten and uplift. Let's begin this incredible journey towards inner peace and clarity. Sometimes our minds feel like they're under siege by our own thoughts. Picture yourself carrying a backpack throughout the day. Now imagine that every time you have a worrying or repetitive thought, a stone is added to that backpack. Soon the load becomes unbearable, right? This is akin to the burden of overthinking, a common habit that can feel as heavy as carrying a mountain on your shoulders. Buddha once taught about the monkey mind, a term that describes a mind that jumps from thought to thought, like a monkey swings from tree to tree. Overthinking is a prime example of the monkey mind in action. It can make us feel restless, perpetually on edge, and often leads us down a path of endless what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. But why do we let ourselves get caught in this loop of overthinking? At its core, it's often a misguided attempt to control the uncontrollable. We believe that by thinking about a problem long enough, we can solve it or prevent bad outcomes. However, more often than not, this is an illusion. In the teachings of Buddhism, there's a profound emphasis on the concept of impermanence and acceptance. Overthinking typically stems from our reluctance to accept this impermanence. We cling to thoughts because we desire certainty in a world that is fundamentally uncertain. But as Buddha pointed out, attachment, the root of all suffering, includes our thoughts. We cling to our worries and fears, mistakenly believing that they are essential parts of our existence, that they are as real and as fixed as the ground under our feet. Yet, just like the seasons change and leaves fall from trees, our thoughts are transient, fleeting. So, how can we lessen the weight of overthinking? Mindfulness meditation is one powerful technique derived from Buddhist practices. It teaches us to observe our thoughts without attachment, to recognize them as they arise and to let them pass without getting entangled. Imagine observing your thoughts like clouds moving across the sky, some dark, some light, constantly changing shape and form, but always passing by. The sky doesn't cling to the clouds, and similarly, we need not cling to our thoughts. Another Buddhist concept that helps combat overthinking is the idea of living in the present moment. Overthinking is fundamentally a preoccupation with the past or the future. By focusing on the here and now, we anchor ourselves away from the endless possibilities that fuel our anxieties. Engaging fully in the present activity, whether it's eating, walking, or talking with a friend, can dramatically reduce the space available for unnecessary thoughts. Moreover, the practice of loving-kindness meditation, metta, encourages us to replace negative thought patterns with positive intentions, not only towards others, but also towards ourselves. This shift can lighten the mental load significantly, as positive thoughts are inherently less burdensome than negative ones. Lastly, the understanding that we are not our thoughts is liberating in itself. Overthinking often leads to identification with our thoughts, which can trap us in a cycle of emotional reactions. The Buddhist path teaches us that by detaching from this identification and viewing our thoughts as separate from our true selves, we gain the freedom to choose which thoughts to engage with and which to let go of. As we learn to apply these Buddhist teachings, the weight of overthinking begins to lift. We find that our backpack of stones becomes lighter, not because the world around us has necessarily changed, but because we have changed the way we interact with our thoughts. We learn to carry only what serves us, leaving behind the burden of overthinking to move forward with a lighter step and a clearer mind. Imagine holding on to a hot coal. You know it burns, yet there's a part of you that can't seem to let go. That's a bit like attachment. It's this deep-seated habit we have of clinging to people, experiences, and outcomes, often to our own detriment. Today, let's explore the Buddhist perspective on attachment and discover why it often leads to suffering, and how understanding this can profoundly change the way we interact with the world around us. Buddha taught that the root of all suffering is attachment. This might sound extreme at first, but think about it. Whenever you experience pain, whether emotional or physical, isn't there often a desire for things to be different than they are? Perhaps it's a relationship you can't move on from, or expectations you hold for someone that they can't possibly meet. These attachments keep us locked in a cycle of desire and disappointment. Let's break it down further. Attachment is essentially our insistence on holding on to what often cannot be held. Consider relationships, for instance. When we bond with someone, it's natural to develop feelings of love and closeness. However, problems arise when these feelings transform into a dependency, where our happiness seems contingent upon the actions and feelings of another. This dependency is what Buddha referred to when he talked about the suffering that comes from attachment. The tighter we hold, the more painful it becomes when those attachments are inevitably disrupted by life's constant changes. It's crucial to understand that everything in our world is impermanent. People change, feelings shift, and life events can turn our world upside down in a heartbeat. Holding on too tightly to any aspect of our lives sets us up for suffering. The beauty of Buddhism lies in the practice of mindfulness, which teaches us to appreciate the present without excessively worrying about the future or lamenting the past. Practicing non-attachment does not mean we do not care. On the contrary, it allows us to love freely without imposing our own needs and desires onto others. It means enjoying relationships and experiences fully, but without becoming dependent on them for our happiness, and without trying to control their outcomes. This frees us from a lot of unnecessary pain and opens us up to experiencing life in its fullest, most vibrant form. Moreover, understanding and practicing non-attachment can lead to greater peace within ourselves. Think about the last time you let go of a grudge or forgave someone. Remember that sense of relief? That's a small glimpse of what life can be like when we loosen our grip on our attachments. By cultivating a mindset of acceptance and letting go, we're not just avoiding pain, we're actively creating more space in our lives for peace and contentment. To start practicing non-attachment, begin by observing your thoughts and feelings. Notice when you're getting caught up in wanting things to go a certain way, or trying to hold on to something that's meant to change or end. Acknowledge these feelings without judgment, and gently remind yourself of the impermanence of all things. Meditation can be a great tool here. It helps us sit with our thoughts and feelings without acting on them impulsively, providing a clearer perspective on what really matters. Embarking on the path to letting go is not just a practice, but a profound transformation of how we perceive and interact with the world around us. Buddha's teachings guide us through this journey, emphasizing that the root of much of our suffering is attachment, clinging not just to physical things but to ideas, dreams, and even people. This process of letting go, deeply embedded in Buddhist philosophy, is essential for achieving true peace and lasting happiness. Let's delve into what it really means to let go. It's a concept often misunderstood as detachment or indifference, but in the teachings of Buddha, it represents a mindful release of the obsessions that bind our minds and cloud our hearts. It's about observing our thoughts and emotions without allowing them to define us or dictate our inner peace. Imagine holding sand in your open palm. It stays where it is. Now, clench your fist. Most of it slips away. This is what happens when we grasp too tightly at the things we fear losing. The beauty of letting go lies in the liberation it brings. It allows us to experience life in its truest form, impermanent, ever-changing, and unpredictably beautiful. Each moment becomes more poignant when you're not trying to capture it within the confines of your expectations. Instead, you experience life as it unfolds, accepting joys and disappointments with equanimity. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation, but an understanding that the nature of life is transient and clinging too tightly causes more pain than pleasure. Practicing the art of letting go begins with mindfulness. It's a simple yet powerful practice where we anchor ourselves in the present moment. Mindfulness trains us to recognize when our thoughts drift towards anxiety about the future or regrets about the past. We learn to bring our focus back to the here and now, engaging fully with our current activities and experiences. This presence is where peace resides, free from the burdens of past mistakes and future worries. Another crucial aspect of letting go involves compassion, particularly towards oneself. Often, we hold on to painful memories or fears about the future because we believe they serve a purpose, protecting us from repeating past mistakes or preparing us for the worst. However, Buddha taught that compassion begins with oneself. When we treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, we make peace with our imperfections and become more forgiving of ourselves. This self-compassion naturally extends to others, fostering a more loving and tolerant interaction with the world. Letting go also entails a deep dive into our values and beliefs. It requires us to examine what truly matters to us and to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. This discernment simplifies our lives as we begin to shed the unnecessary weight of outdated beliefs, unachievable goals, and one-sided relationships. It aligns our actions more closely with our true selves, unburdened by societal expectations or personal illusions. Finally, the path to letting go is a journey of continuous learning and adjustment. It's about making peace with the flow of life and finding joy in the resilience of the human spirit. With each step, we learn a little more about ourselves and the impermanent nature of our experiences. This wisdom does not make us cold or uncaring, quite the opposite. It enriches our interactions with warmth and authenticity because we engage with the world not out of need or desperation, but from a place of completeness and contentment. One of the most profound lessons Buddha taught us is about the transient nature of everything around us. Nothing stays the same forever, and this isn't just a philosophy, it's the reality of the world we live in. Think about the last time you watched a sunset, how its beauty was fleeting, yet it brought immense peace. Or consider how we experience seasons. They come and go, each bringing its own set of changes and new beginnings. This ebb and flow, this constant state of flux, is what life is all about. By understanding and accepting this, we learn to appreciate the present moment without clinging to it. But why is embracing impermanence so crucial? Simply put, it frees us. When we realize that nothing is permanent, we're less likely to get attached. We start to understand that clinging to people, possessions, or experiences only sets us up for suffering. This isn't to say that we should not value these things, but rather that we should enjoy them without the fear of their loss overshadowing our happiness. Buddha's teaching on impermanence, known as anicca, reminds us that just as a leaf that falls from a tree is not a tragedy, but a natural part of its life cycle, so too are the losses and changes we experience in life natural and necessary. Delving deeper into detachment, it might sound like a call to become emotionless or uncaring, but in reality, it's quite the opposite. Detachment is not about removing emotions or affection. It's about separating our peace and happiness from external circumstances. It's learning to love freely without dependencies. Imagine loving someone purely for who they are, not for what they provide you emotionally or materially. This form of love is liberating for both you and them. It is not burdened by expectations or demands. Moreover, detachment empowers us to stay calm in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. It teaches us to approach life's challenges with a balanced mind. If a relationship ends, if a job changes, or if we lose something we hold dear, detachment allows us to view these events without despair. It teaches us resilience, helping us to bounce back from losses that would otherwise have the potential to derail us. The practice of detachment also enriches our inner lives. It makes space for a deeper kind of growth, one that isn't hindered by excessive worry about impermanence. We become more adaptable, more accepting of different outcomes, and more open to new experiences. When we're not fixated on maintaining the status quo, we can embrace change as an opportunity for development and new adventures. However, mastering impermanence and detachment is not about denying emotions or avoiding attachment. It's about understanding the nature of things and our reactions to them. When we grasp that everything is temporary, we can reduce the suffering caused by our resistances and aversions. This doesn't mean we don't feel pain or sorrow. These emotions are natural. But we don't let them define us or dictate our happiness. We accept them, learn from them, and then let them pass like clouds moving across the sky. So how can we start practicing these principles in our daily lives? Begin by observing your reactions to small changes or losses. Notice where you feel resistance and gently remind yourself of the nature of impermanence. Meditation can be a powerful tool here, helping to center your thoughts and bring awareness to the present without attachment to the past or future. Each moment is an opportunity to practice letting go, to train the mind to embrace the flow of life without clinging. This isn't easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but each step on this path brings us closer to the profound peace and freedom that Buddha spoke of. As we close today's exploration into the transformative power of Buddhism, remember, the path to true peace is a journey of letting go and embracing the flow of life. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. If you're inspired to delve deeper, I encourage you to watch the suggested video appearing on your screen next. Your presence and engagement in this journey enrich us all. Thank you for being a part of our Buddhist journey. Until next time, may you walk gently and with peace.